Welcome back to WTF Cinema. I've actually been waiting to do this movie for a while. It's been kind of a personal vendetta of mine, waiting for this one to come out on DVD, because, you see, due to societal pressures beyond my control, I had to see this stupid movie twice in its opening weekend. The Friday it came out, and the Saturday it came out. I made plans to see it with my friend Russ on Saturday, because Russ apparently loves the Jurassic Park franchise. So I said, you know what, you're coming into Austin, I'll take you, we'll go see the movie. Fine. Then my friend Robin announces it's her birthday that Friday, and we're all invited to go watch Jurassic World with her. Damn it. Twice in 2 days I sat through this. And I've got a pretty good memory for movies, which means I don't really get a lot out of watching them again and again unless there's a lot of time in between. So the first time was pretty bad. The second time was agony, because I knew every joke, I knew every line. I had just seen it. And the only thing that got me through that experience was the knowledge that one day it will come out on DVD, and I will get to do this to it. So everybody, welcome to Jurassic World. We open, as I wish all movies would open, with national treasure Judy Greer. I will make no jokes at her expense. She is a national treasure. We should all love her. I was actually once in a room with Judy Greer. Now, admittedly, there were 1,000 other people in that room with us, but I still think it's going to be the moment that we tell our grandchildren about our first connection. This entire opening sequence is full of lines and moments that have no bearing on anything that comes up later and make no sense in and of themselves.
Honey, your flight's in 2 hours. Dane County Airport is 36 minutes away, 60 with traffic. How many minutes to get your little butt in the van?
Okay, so the little kid that's obsessed with dinosaurs is also obsessed with time and or math? Except this Rain Man-like ability never shows up again in the rest of the movie.
I love you.
See you later.
Vámonos!
Bye. Okay?
Bye.
This girlfriend, who by the way has zero reaction to this very obvious snub, never referenced or shows up again in the rest of the movie. So the plot here, basically, is that these two children are being sent to visit their aunt. And their aunt happens to be a very important person at Jurassic World, so they'll get to spend a week in the park playing around and visiting their aunt. Because we can't have a Jurassic movie without children in danger. So we had to find a way to get those children into danger. But before they leave, we get maybe the weirdest line of the movie.
So much for our last family breakfast.
Why do you have to say things like that?
This is my third time through this movie. I still have no idea what that line is supposed to mean. We've known this family for about 4 minutes now. In that time, all we've seen them do is load the kids up in a car and then unload them at an airport. That's it. So I don't know what this line is really supposed to mean. So, is it supposed to be like they didn't have time for one last family breakfast? Because we didn't see them try to have one and fail. Is he implying that maybe what they thought was going to be the last one isn't going to be the last one? That now there's going to be family breakfasts in the future? And if so, why is it said in such a disparaging tone? I don't get what he's trying to tell me. I feel like perhaps there was a scene or two missing that would give that line the context necessary for it to make sense. The kids arrive at Jurassic World only to be greeted by their British babysitter, because you see their aunt is far too busy to take time out for her nephews. Alright, so we now have 3 of our main characters firmly established as characters. We've got the younger kid. He's nerdy. We got the older brother. He's aloof and girl crazy and doesn't really care about anything else. And then we've got the workaholic aunt who doesn't have time for kids. I really like when characters are so simple that in the first 10 minutes of the film, you already know all about them. That way you don't have to spend time on stupid things like character development, growth, or learning the complexities of the people involved. And finally, we meet Aunt Claire, who actually begins this movie's bizarre habits of meta-references to the series. Some of them are subtle, some of them not so. And just to save time between you and me, I'm going to cut out some of the best ones from the movie and just play them for you here.
Let's be honest. No one's impressed by a dinosaur anymore.
So why do you keep making movies about them?
That first park was legit.
Yes, it was. So why did you keep making sequels?
Corporate felt genetic modification would up the wow factor.
They're dinosaurs, wow enough.
Not according to our focus groups.
Sadly, box office results have proven her correct.
These people never learn.
No, they don't. They're just gonna keep making these movies. Our main villain of the film is finally revealed, and no, it's not the mad scientist creating crazy monsters. It's capitalism. Because you see, in order to keep money coming into the park, they need to tease in investors with new hybrids. So they've created something huge and scary so that sponsors can come in and slap their name on them. That's right, it's the Indominus Rex, brought to you by Pepsi. And now we meet our new park CEO, who has some weird fetish for flying helicopters. And I'm going to give the writers credit here, because the park CEO is not a one-dimensional character. No, he has 2 dimensions, both of which are contradictory to the other. But you'll see what I mean in time. For now, the only thing we really know about him is that he's not in this park business for the money. He's in it for the joy and wonder it puts on children's faces.
Some of the costs.
Enough about cost. John Hammond entrusted me with this dying wish, and not once did he mention profit. Spare no expense, he used to say.
I appreciate that, but the reality of operating a theme park requires...
Don't forget why we built this place, Claire. Jurassic World exists to remind us how very small we are, how new. You can't put a price on that.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and save that clip for later. We're just going to put it down there. After viewing the Pepsi-saurus, the CEO becomes concerned that housing may not be secure enough, and he instructs Claire that she needs to get the help of a local dinosaur whisperer. That's right. This summer, Star-Lord is Andy Dwyer, is Burt Macklin, dinosaur whisperer. Star-Lord has this pack of raptors he's been training. What exactly he's training them for is never really explained to us, but he has trained the heck out of them. Star-Lord's boss is trying to convince him to use the raptors for military applications. And of course, Star-Lord and his partner say, no, that's not what this is about. So I'm going to ask again, what is it about? What are you training these raptors to do? Children's parties? I'm fairly certain this scene exists just to show that Star-Lord is a badass, but it does it pretty well. When a worker accidentally falls into the pit, it's Star-Lord to the rescue! While the British babysitter is distracted on her phone, the 2 kids make a break for it. Now, I'm pretty sure what the film is trying to tell us at this point is that the British babysitter, whose name, by the way, is Zara, which I think is totally cool, and I'm going to just refer to her like that from now on, because I really think the name is awesome. So I think the film's trying to tell us that Zara is bad, because she wasn't paying attention to the kids, and she was distracted with her phone call and not really paying attention, and they ran off, so she's a bad person. But if you actually listen to what she's talking about on the phone, and it's not easy to do because there's a lot of background noise and a lot of background music, her conversation's not really meant to be heard by the audience, it's incidental, you're just supposed to see her talking on the phone. But I've seen the movie 3 times now, I like Zara, so I paid attention. She's planning her wedding. She's on the phone at work trying to organize her wedding. And you also have to keep in mind, those kids aren't her kids. Those are her boss's kids. And her boss said, I don't have time for these kids. Watch these kids. And I'm going to assume the reason that she's having to spend time at work planning her wedding is because her boss is a bitch and doesn't give her enough time off to do this thing in her own personal time. So I'm going to go ahead and label Zara as a sympathetic character. Not only because she's got a British accent and she's really attractive, but because her boss is a total bitch. Claire goes to recruit Star-Lord, and very quickly they manage to cram into this conversation the concept that apparently the 2 of them went out on a date once and it didn't go well, because he's too live life by the moment, and she's too uptight and likes to make plans. Like almost every human interaction in this movie, it feels very rushed and pointless. Like it's something they just wedged into the movie, like, oh wait, we have humans, right? Okay, let's give them emotions. We'll just, there, for these 2 minutes you can have emotions. And I don't know why they're bothering anyway, because anybody watching this movie can tell within 30 seconds of these two characters being on screen that, oh, they don't like each other, but by the end of the movie they're going to be in love because they're going to overcome adversity, and those challenges, that bad day that they're going to have is totally going to make up for the fact that they're not compatible as a couple. So I don't know why we're even bothering trying to pretend like we care about these characters' emotional depth. We already know what their journey is going to be. From the second we see them, we know what their story arc's going to be. So why even bother wasting any time on it? Unless you're going to actually create something interesting, why bother? I'm sure that dinosaur's not going to be showing up later. Star-Lord voices concern about the Pepsi-saurus being raised alone in captivity.
Is there a problem?
Animals raised in isolation aren't always the most functional.
Your raptors are born in captivity.
With siblings. They learn social skills.
Yep, just going to save that one for later, too. I'll put it right down there next to the... Oh, hold on. All right. We're going to save that one for later, too. Don't worry. It'll be worth it. Surprisingly, something has gone wrong, and none of the thermal cameras are picking up the dinosaur in the pen. So Star-Lord and a couple others go in to investigate. At this point, even my grandmother knows the dinosaur is using some kind of camouflage to lure them in. And she's been dead for 7 years. The drama really kicks in when a tech traces the tracking device in the dinosaur and realizes it's still in the pen, and now there's people in there. Gee, maybe you should have checked the tracking device before you climbed into the pen. And the Pepsi-saurus breaks loose! Folks, we got us a movie now. Now it's time to send out the specially trained commandos whose job it is to recapture the Pepsi-saurus before the 21,000 people in the park realize their lives are in danger. Anybody want to place bets on how well they succeed? But before that confrontation, Star-Lord's boss wants to tell us a little story about how he once tamed a wild creature, and that's why we should use these things for military applications.
I rescued a wolf pup. It's like 2 months old, could barely walk. Sleep on my bed, watch over me. My wife, she came at me with a steak knife. Took a chunk out of her arm.
You put him down?
Really? That's the first question you ask? Not, why was your wife trying to kill you with a knife? Because I feel like the answer to that question is going to be a lot more exciting than anything else this character has to tell me. This is probably one of the most bizarre scenes in the movie. So we've got a killer dino in this. We've got specially trained commandos going out to try and recapture it. We've got Star-Lord's boss who's trying to wedge this situation into his plan for military applications for raptors. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on, but we take literally 60 seconds out of the movie to watch a conversation between the two kids on the monorail. What's the conversation about, you ask? Divorce. The younger kid has learned that both of his parents are getting letters from 2 different sets of divorce lawyers. The older kid doesn't know anything about this. So, for 60 seconds, they discuss, Mom and Dad are getting a divorce. It makes me sad. Don't worry, we'll still be family, and things are going to be okay. I'm not trying to belittle divorce, because obviously it's a traumatic moment in a kid's life, but it's never referenced again in the rest of the movie. It almost explains that line of dialogue early, except we still are missing some context for that one line. But the whole divorce subplot, like, the kid then sees dinosaurs out the window and cheers up. And that's it. It's never mentioned again. It's never brought up again. It's never resolved. So what was the point of bringing it up? Like so many other human interactions in this movie, it's so pointless. It just feels like it's crammed in to add a human element to your dinosaur movie. It serves no function. And I'm just left in the audience going, the hell am I watching? Why did we take 60 seconds to try and tackle a very complex topic that has no bearing on anything? Okay, this few seconds of footage here actually made me think, you know, that'd actually be kind of a cool park to go to. And then I remembered, oh wait, they have carnivores and there's always a disaster. So let me ask this. Why at no point have they tried to make a park just of herbivores? I know maybe it won't be as exciting for everybody to come see herbivores, even though there's a large variety of them. They come in all shapes and sizes. Some of them still kind of look pretty dangerous. I know it's not as exciting because you don't have the carnivores, but you know what else you don't have? The body count. Because the herbivores are probably going to kill less people, which means the herbivores will probably make you more money in the long run, even if your attendance isn't huge forever. And by the way, it's still dinosaurs! People are still going to pay to do it. I mean, how cool is it? The idea that you could take your kid to ride on a stegosaurus. I'd pay a lot of money for that. Kayaking down a river with brontosauruses eating out of the trees. I'd pay to do that. Provided you can guarantee me there's not a possibility of a T-Rex coming along and eating me. And you know how you give me that guarantee? You don't bring back T-Rexes. It's just a crazy idea. But maybe if you want the park to have longevity and a lack of legal issues, you don't bring back the killer dinosaurs. When Star-Lord realizes the commandos are equipped to capture but not kill the Pepsisaurus, he confronts the CEO, who defends his decision by showing off his other dimension.
You're going after her with non-lethals.
We have $26 million invested in that asset. We can't just kill it.
Wait a second. This is the same guy who said that the park wasn't about money, right? That it was about the imagination of children and joy and knowledge and whatnot. Oh, I got the clip down here. Hold on.
Some of the costs.
Enough about cost. $26 million invested in. Enough about cost.
So the park isn't about making money, except when it is. Now, it's not about making money when everybody's fine, but when lives are at stake, the money matters. But when people aren't at risk, then we don't care about the cost. I think I've got this. Can we replace him with a better written character now? The commandos arrive at the beacon location only to discover that the dinosaur actually tore the tracker out of its flesh. Star-Lord says it's because the dinosaur remembers when it got put in. Okay. So the dinosaur's really smart, all right? The Pepsisaurus was able to trick them. He clawed up the wall so it looked like he climbed out, then he camouflaged to lure them into his cage. Fine. Clever girl. But now you're telling me I am supposed to think that this dinosaur, who underwent tons of testing, I'm assuming, since it was a first genetic hybrid. I'm sure they were drawing blood and doing injections. It remembered the time they put the tracker in. Now, this presupposes three things. One, that while they were putting the tracker in, the scientists explained to the dinosaur what the tracker was and how it worked and what it did. Two, that they taught the dinosaur English so that it could understand what it was being told. And three, that they also explained to it and taught it complex engineering so that it could understand how a tracker works. I'm sorry. No matter how smart an animal is, and there are some smart animals, you're not going to convince me that an animal can figure out that one of the many tests performed on it included putting a tracker underneath the skin, remembering, okay, it's probably this patch that they worked on that one time, not this patch or wherever else they drew blood, but this patch probably has the tracker in it. And you know what this can do? It can enable them to find me, especially since it's only been used to find it, A, in the cage, right? They used it to find out, oh, it's still in the cage. The dinosaur would have no way of knowing that. And B, it was used for the commandos to track it, which is what just happened just now. They were in the act of actually tracking the thing with the tracker for the first time when it remembered what the tracker was, how it worked, and tore it out so that it could have its nefarious scheme to then attack the commandos. I refuse to accept this. We are then shocked to learn that it has camouflaging abilities, even though that's what it used to get out of the cage in the first place. This is an ability we knew that it had because it had used it, and yet the commandos are taken completely by surprise. Okay, this is a very minor, picky point compared to everything else I'm talking about, but we're told multiple times throughout the movie that these two kids are given VIP wristbands so that they don't have to wait in line for any rides. And then we get this scene of them talking about girls while waiting in line for a ride. Okay. The CEO goes to confront the head scientist about exactly what kind of abilities this new dinosaur has. The first words out of the scientist's mouth are, "You know I can't tell you what we've made this dinosaur out of." Dude's your boss, isn't he? I mean, I get the idea of proprietary information, but you made this dinosaur at his behest. It is now killing people, and you can't tell your boss, who you made the dinosaur for, what's in the dinosaur so that maybe you can prevent it from killing people. Really? Luckily, through the course of the conversation, he tells him several of the DNA sequences that are in the dinosaur and where they came from. Just in casual conversation. So it's, "You know I can't tell you what's in it. Well, actually, I'll tell you that some cuttlefish is in there. Oh, and I'll tell you that we got some tree frogs in there. But I can't tell you what's in it."
I never imagined...
Who authorized you to do this?
You did. Bigger. Scarier. Cooler, I believe is the word that you used in your memo. You cannot have an animal with exaggerated predator features without the corresponding behavioral traits.
Yeah, this little bit of dialogue, even the movie seems to be becoming aware of how stupid it is. The CEO asked for bigger, scarier, cooler, and then when he was given a bigger, scarier, and cooler dinosaur, he went, "Oh my God, what have you given me? You're a mad scientist. This is evil." Dude, it's what you asked for. Specifically, there's even a line about you want more teeth. And then you got them! What the hell, man?
Nothing in Jurassic World is natural. We have always filled gaps in the genome with the DNA of other animals. And if their genetic code was pure, many of them would look quite different. But you didn't ask for reality. You asked for more teeth.
I never asked for a monster.
That's right. That one's for all the nerds who have been spending the years going, excuse me, that's not what dinosaurs really look like. In your face, nerds. Finally, the process of evacuating the park has begun. We are working on getting all 21,000 people as far south as they can get while this monster rampages north. Unfortunately, it's too late for our two kids who are in the hamster ball just rolling around having a good old time. But at least now that the kids are in danger, we've removed all the other people, we know that an hour into the movie, the plot is officially underway. Claire finds out that her nephews are still in the danger zone, and of course, cell phones don't work. Also, walkie-talkies don't work in this movie. Every time somebody tries to use a walkie-talkie or a cell phone, the reception is horrible because I guess in this day and age where we can make dinosaurs, we still can't get cell reception on a small island where presumably one good cell tower would cover the whole island. Thank God we're not in a position where people might need to communicate with each other in case of an emergency because the walkie-talkies don't even work. So she decides to go get Star-Lord and go rescue the kids herself. And now it's time for soccer with the Pepsi-saurus. Luckily, our kids managed to get away, and we'll now spend the rest of the movie running from certain doom. Sounds like a trip to Jurassic Park to me. Okay, so Star-Lord and Claire are on their way rushing to where they knew the kids were last to try and rescue them. Because the kids are directly in the path of this dinosaur, they're in trouble. They could be dead right now, and if not right now, they could be dying right now. So, action-adventure, rush to the rescue, except we have to take time out for a scene where we spend time with dying dinosaurs. They stop the vehicle, they get out, and they spend a long, long time with these poor, dying dinosaurs. I get it. Littlefoot's dad dying is very sad. But you're aware that your nephews could be dying too, and you're supposed to be going to save them. But no, we have to take this moment, because the movie's made very clear up to this point that Claire thinks about the dinosaurs like they're just kind of like animals, and now she can actually connect with them and realize that they're animals. I'm sure the kids can take care of themselves while she has this huge emotional revelation that they're not just animals, they're animals. I'm glad we're taking time for this. Meanwhile, a military force has arrived thanks to Star-Lord's boss. Luckily, they will have no bearing on the plot whatsoever. Meanwhile, Claire and Star-Lord are in the process of tracking down the kids, and you know, you might have actually caught up to them if you hadn't taken time out to stay with Littlefoot's dad as he breathed his last breath. Also, this is the scene where we learn that Claire has been doing this entire adventure in high heels, and will continue to do so. She's not going to break the heels off or try doing this barefoot. No, she's going to spend the entire movie running from dinosaurs in high heels. After several more death-defying feats and some scenes of the kids wandering around the set of the first Jurassic Park movie, we watch the CEO attempt to gun down the Pepsisaurus. And it ends exactly as well as you would expect. Oh yeah, that's not good. Now we've got flying death mixed in with a killer dino. So the various flying beasties start attacking all our civilians, because we're really trying to cash in on that Sharknado dollar. Meanwhile, Zara is finally able to come back into our movie, just in time to die the most brutal death imaginable. Now, I'm going to show you the sequence without any commentary, because I really want you to take it in. But what I'm going to ask from you is that you try to put yourself in her mindset. I want you to imagine that you are her, going through this moment with all of the, oh, I'm safe, oh, I'm dying, oh, I'm safe, oh, I'm going to die, oh, I'm safe, oh, I'm going to die. All right? I want you to channel Zara for me in this sequence. Enjoy. Dude, that is just cold. So our four main characters are finally reunited. Star-Lord and Claire are making out because, you know, they've been on an adventure together. And as we all know, having certain death looming over your head is the perfect, strong foundation for a healthy relationship. But now, all we've got left is to deal with the Pepsisaurus and the flying death that's never comes up again, actually. They're still out there in the island. Like, we're never captured. We don't kill them all. But they don't show up in the movie again at all. They're not referenced. Nothing. So, I guess they left the island that was covered in easy meat. With nobody left in authority, Star-Lord's boss takes this opportunity to finally enact his Raptor plan. Star-Lord's going to take his Raptor pack out. They're going to hunt down and kill the Pepsisaurus, leading us to an actually pretty cool-looking moment. Yeah, it's kind of a neat moment. I can see why that would be in the trailers. The problem comes when the Raptors finally track down the Pepsisaurus, and instead of fighting, the Pepsisaurus convinces, through Dino dialogue, the Raptor Pack that the Pepsisaurus is now in charge of the Raptor Pack. I knew I held on to the clip for a reason.
Penis is evil.
Okay, I don't know why I still have that clip down here. Hold on. Oh my God, there's a lot of junk down here. Hold on. That's one.
Animals raised in isolation aren't always the most functional.
Yeah. Raised in captivity. No social skills. Until it meets a pack and immediately assumes leadership of it. To put this into human terms, it's as if a basement-dwelling nerd who has not had contact with other human beings apart from asking his mom for more chicken pot pie has gone into the local biker bar, walked up to the Hells Angels and said, "I'm in charge now." And the Hells Angels said, "All right, you're the boss. This thing has zero social skills because it was raised in captivity. Until it meets a tight-knit group trained to work together and instantly convinces them, by the way, I'm your friend and your boss now." This is the main premise of the movie. This is the point they try to hammer again and again. They really don't focus so much on, oh my god, you've created a hybrid monster, as much as they focus on, you raised it in captivity. It doesn't know its place in life. It doesn't know where it fits in on the food chain. So now it's out killing for sport. It has no social skills. It doesn't understand until it encounters something. And then it has social skills. And the reasoning for it being able to communicate with the raptor and assume charge of the pack, by the way, is because it's got a little raptor DNA in it, too. I don't think that works. Because I feel like we share some DNA with monkeys, right? Not necessarily all of it, but we're pretty similar. But if a monkey were to walk into my apartment right now, and no, I'm not going to cut away to a clip of a monkey walking into my apartment. I can't afford one. I tried. If a monkey were to walk into my apartment right now and be like, ook, ook, eek, eek, this is my apartment now, you got to live somewhere else, I'd say no. I'd call animal control and I'd have them remove the rogue monkey. Just because it shares some DNA doesn't mean A, it can speak the same language, because dinosaurs have a language now, and B, that it can achieve some kind of charismatic social standing when we're specifically told that it has none. I can keep mugging all day. I want an answer. So now, in addition to the flying death that we're not going to reference, and the Pepsi-saurus going on a rampage, we've got killer raptors on the loose, which is perfect, because we needed an excuse for Claire and the kids to have an action driving sequence. So everything's gone to hell. The military, who, remember, weren't that useful and didn't really bear on the plot, they're evacuating now. They haven't really done anything, but they're getting out. All of the people are, I assume, are evacuating somehow. All sorts of dinosaurs are running loose, killing people. But we finally get a genuinely good and well-written moment in this movie. I will defend this scene to my death. It is almost good enough to make up for the movie that surrounds it. Almost. This scene takes place between two supporting characters that haven't really showed up in my review. They're very minor characters. They're the tech support nerds. They keep track of the big map and like, hey, we got a dinosaur out of place, and hey, this park is legit. They're very minor characters with just a couple of lines. But then we get this moment. And I like to think that this scene makes all of movie history just a tiny bit better.
Hey.
They said we had to evacuate. There's a boat. We're coming?
Someone has to stay behind.
Oh, no, I have a boyfriend.
Yeah, but I didn't know that you guys were, like, together.
We are.
Oh, that's good. You've never, like, you don't mention him, ever.
No, I'm at work.
Oh, I know. Well.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Thank you, movie, for that well-written moment. I mean it. I actually like that, because it's making fun of a very stereotypical trope in action movies. The idea that trying circumstances instantly make couples work as a unit. Like we're seeing with Star-Lord and Claire. It's almost like this scene is making fun of that relationship. Because they bicker, their lives are threatened, now they're in love. But when the nerds try it, it's more like real life. I am genuinely fond of this movie because it's probably the only scene in the entire movie that is not a trope, that is not expected, that is not line for line perfect. And even I'll admit, this twist isn't like the first time in movie history it's been done, but it's done so rarely. And in this movie, which is so chock full of stereotypical cliches, it's very surprising. It's almost like this one scene was written by somebody different than the rest of the movie. Either that, or the movie is becoming self-aware. We take a break from all the action to see what kind of dastardly mad science was going on in the secret room of the scientist's laboratory. It's got to be a laboratory because it's mad science, right? Star-Lord's boss comes in and explains that the next stage of the plan was to take dinosaurs and make them smaller. Make a small T-Rex for military applications. Because a T-Rex on the battlefield, sure, that's scary. But what about a T-Rex the size of a dog? That's horrifying. Does this mean that the next movie, because this scene really is nothing but setting up a sequel, does it mean that the next movie is going to be like the Master of Puppets, the Puppet Master series, where it's going to be a bunch of little tiny dinosaurs running around biting people's feet? Because I think I'd watch that. And now it's time for our final battle. The Raptor Pack returns, but decides that Star-Lord is their true alpha after all. That whole the Pepsi-saurus is our new alpha thing didn't last very long. Maybe social skills do count for something? It's just so weird that they changed their minds completely from where they were 10 minutes ago. I don't know. Realizing that the Raptors are probably outmatched, Claire goes to set loose the T-Rex, so our final battle will be a T-Rex Raptor team-up against the Pepsi-saurus. And by the way, as you watch Claire freeing and leading the T-Rex into battle, notice she's still wearing high heels. That girl must have some insane leg muscles. Here it is, the epic CGI battle. Team T-Rex Raptor versus the Pepsi-saurus. This is why you bought your tickets. This is where all the money in the budget went. Why did we bother having human characters at all? They only distracted from this. This is the blood sport you came for. Are you not entertained? And the final winner is the scary water beast again. I swear to God, I will forgive this movie for every stupid line of dialogue, for every one-dimensional character, for everything that doesn't make sense. I will forgive all of it if the T-Rex and the Raptor can just fist bump right here at the end. All will be forgiven if you will just make that happen. But alas, it isn't meant to be. The world wasn't ready for that much awesomeness in one small package. Fine. The fist bump can live on in my head. Now, we've got dozens of flying death machines going around the island. We've got at least one raptor on the loose. We've got a T-Rex on the prowl. What's gonna happen next? Oh, the movie's over? Everyone was successfully evacuated somehow. Are you guys still gonna get a divorce? Of course not, honey. Killer dinos saved our marriage. Just kidding, of course. The divorce is never mentioned. Although, since Claire and Star-Lord are together now, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that the divorce isn't gonna go forward because of killer dinosaurs. I think ultimately that's kind of the biggest problem I have with this movie. The human characters don't matter. They're one-dimensional cardboard cutouts, yeah? I mean, you know within 5 seconds of meeting them everything you need to know about them. Just like real people in the real world, you know? They're not complex or come from various backgrounds and have different histories that make them feel different ways about different things. No, everybody's a one-dimensional cookie-cutter character that within 5 seconds of meeting, you know everything about them. And every scene that this movie has that attempts to give them emotional depth, that attempts to get them to talk about things, is crammed in a place that where it doesn't really make sense. It happens super fast and has no bearing on anything that's around it. None of the characters grow or change. They really don't. The most growth and change comes from the older brother, who goes from tolerating his younger brother to trying to protect his younger brother. It's not that big a stretch because I think that's what anybody would do in that situation. So it's not really growth or character change. It's what would happen to all of us going through this situation. This movie really is just CG dinosaurs. That's all it is. Because the human characters don't matter. They don't grow. They don't change. They don't do anything. Also, here's a fun fact for you. This entire movie wouldn't have happened if they hadn't gone to get Star-Lord's expert opinion. If they hadn't gone to get the expert dinosaur whisperer's opinion on the cage, they would not have discovered that the Indominus Rex was hiding. Or they wouldn't have discovered it for a day or two, in which case those kids probably wouldn't have been trapped in the park when they were. But he had to rush in. Claire, whose job it was to look into things, was the one who called and checked on the tracker. She did not go into the pen. So if it hadn't been for getting the expert opinion, this entire movie could have possibly been avoided. At worst, it would have happened when there weren't two kids loose in the park. And yet, as stupid as this movie is, as ridiculous as the characters were, it did amazing in the box office. So just like the dinosaurs, this franchise will never die. They're just going to keep bringing out the same old tired characters and plots, and people will keep shelling out absurd amount of money to watch it. When will we learn? These are still not the right movie posters. Where did I put my posters?
Hi, I'm Luke Bryan, two-time CMA Entertainer of the Year. If I ever learn how to read, I'm going to read The Great Platypus Caper by Jeff Hillary because I believe in supporting fine literature. I'm Luke Bryan. Hi.
Two dimensions, each of which is completely contradictory. The little kid has noticed that mom and dad are getting This is a really long paragraph of text, and I just messed it up. And now I have to start it all over again. Damn it. That's going to be fun to do. Oh my goodness. What is with these paragraphs I've written for myself? I'm doing a lot of this in this review, and I don't know why. So much talking. I am out of practice. I should have stretched first.